Yeah, Facebook Live, if you're interactive, it rewards you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we all
YouTube, I can't figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, YouTube, like, oh, just do it on YouTube.
Yep.
You never use YouTube.
Oh, hang on one sec. I think my levels are low because I had the headset. I wasn't wearing the headset. It was across the. Okay. All right. Excellent. I just fired up YouTube. I don't even know if that's connected yet or. Uh, do 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 do. Fantastic. All right. Yeah, it's super duper like. Um, it's super duper light, but I want the guest in the chair that's closer. The guest is going to look better than me. So I guess technically I could move back and well, it's not as bad as I thought. I mean, it's definitely worse looking at the monitor than it is seeing where I'm at. Are you oh, and I'm getting audio too. Fantastic. All right. I cannot believe first time out we got this right, Jake. This is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be one of those ones where at 9 o'clock it's already time to call it an entire day. Can't do it though. But you can. I can. All right, so I've got 6:04. CBS should be done, and we should have fired off traffic, correct? Okay. Oh, that I am going to need you to either text me or just let me know in my ear when my live reads are. Cool. Good deal. Thank you. All right, I'm slide over a little bit. Does that make it better? That makes it better. Closer on me is never a good thing.
You're on Instagram, right?
I am. Yep. I'm everywhere. I'm on TikTok.
Oh, really? I haven't
It's so
bit the
stupid.
bullet on that.
Actually,
Another chilly start today with more beautiful sunshine.
it's the forecast.
Temperatures this afternoon will make a run at
Yeah, TikTok. I found so intriguing. I couldn't
Yeah.
pass it up. Gary
Yeah.
Vaynerchuk is huge,
Really?
a huge supporter of it.
Uh-huh.
I've got videos that have like 100 views, and I've got a couple that have 100,000. Like it's
Oh
all
my
over the map.
gosh, that's awesome.
I've got two that are like in the six figures easily. Um, one, I'm good friends with Chip Klein,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he let me hop on a helicopter to go down and tour Hurricane
No.
Ida damage.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've got it's a 15-second video of just us flying the coast of Grand Isle,
Oh my gosh.
and then um, as Ed Ogeron was being fired,
Yeah.
Raising Cane's,
Took
he
down the
was
billboard.
they were hiring as well. So they had
Oh.
it said thanks coach, and then it said now hiring, and I'm like, and so I just put it.
That's hilarious.
That's my largest viewed video. It's
Oh,
hilarious.
that is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, sad.
Let's get it, y'all. Let's go. 606 at Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Brian here with you. Jake producing. I can't see him though. He's all the way across town. We have taken the show on the road today, and I'm a little bit fired up about it. I mean, if for no other reason than we're actually on the air. That is a monumental first step every time out. We've got a big show lined up for you today. before I run down the guest list, I got to tell you where I'm at. I am in the Cypress 2 room over at the Crowne Plaza, just off of Constitution. Today is LABI, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. It's their annual meeting. Game Changer 2022 is the title, and we're going to have a great time today. We are going to talk with the executive director of the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. That's Libby Saunier. She's coming up a little bit less than 10 minutes from right now. Yeah, different clock today. We're going to be running on a different schedule because, well, I mean, we're out and about. Going to get this done. We got Libby Saunier at 6:15. We have got Mike Summers. He's the president and CEO of API coming up at 6:35. Really looking forward to this one. Y'all know I lean in on it when we talk about our the oil markets, when we talk about domestic production, because that's jobs. That's jobs for our friends and neighbors. And we're going to be talking with Mike Summers about that at 6:35. 7:15, the president and CEO of the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association, Tommy Foshe. He's going to be sitting right next to me. And by the way, we are up and running on YouTube. I am told I look like I'm in somewhat of a fog on YouTube, but that's just me, really. Anyway, Tommy will be in person here with me. I'm guessing we're going to talk a lot of oil and gas production there as well. Then at 7:35, getting back to the regular Thursday schedule at 7:35, it's Crime Stoppers time. Sergeant Don Coppola from Crime Stoppers is bringing by Mike Kimball. Mike Kimball, if you don't yet know, is the new chief of the Baton Rouge Fire Department. We're going to talk a little bit about arson investigations and how that ties into Crime Stoppers, but honestly, I want to talk to him about his guy that was over at the Be Quick, where the dude pulled out the knife and fire department was able to hold him down, hold him back, subdue him until police got there. I mean, cool story to tell, and we are going to tell that at 7:35. In our 8 o'clock hour, Christelle Slaughter. She is the 2022 LABI chair. Going to join me at 8:15 to talk about what the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry is up to overall. She's with SSA Consultants, so we're probably going to weave the conversation around that end as well. And then the guest list rounds out with Bo Staples. Y'all know Bo. He's been on the show a number of times. We're going to be talking about the redistricting session that's going on over at the state capitol, and that's kind of where I want to start this morning. I don't know if you saw the story was making the rounds on the news. Got to pull this up. Give me just a second here. I got to pull this up on the news. It looks like our state senate, at least on a committee level, has approved judicial maps. The state Supreme Court map is moving forward. And I'm going to talk with Bo about that and why the court map actually makes a difference. It's a kind of a niche topic, I guess you would say. We're all looking at the congressional districts, all eyes on those 6 districts. But at the end of the day, no matter how many people are going to be up in arms or whatever, at the end of the day, only so much can be done with a physical geographical map. Only so much can be done with population clusters. There's not a whole lot you could do to divvy up 6 districts. They'll probably look at a few more before they're all said and done. They'll probably have some more conversation before they're all said and done. But I don't see a whole lot of change there. When you get down to some of the other maps, the representatives and Senate maps, when you get down to the Bessie maps, when you get down to state Supreme Court, that is where you're more likely to see inklings of change. And quite honestly, all change happens in excruciating increments, unless you're expecting blowback on the other end. So that's where we're starting off today. We will still have top stories and trending. We will still have the outside in. Jake, back home in studio, will have this day in history. But other than that, it's going to be all about business and industry, and LABI's annual meeting, which is going on today. By the way, y'all, they're going to have a panel discussion right across the hallway, right after the show is over with. Panel discussion on the future of healthcare in the state of Louisiana. Got a little insight on this, not this particular discussion, but I got a little insight yesterday when I was over at the Rotary Club meeting. And we had the head of Louisiana's Department of Health was the speaker. So that's going to be an interesting discussion. There's also going to be a redistricting update within that panel discussion as well. Keynote speaker for lunch today, although I'm pretty sure lunch is spoken for at this point. But the keynote speaker today is Sarah Thomas. Sarah Thomas, if you don't know, she officiated her first game September 13th, 2015. Game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. This past year, 1 year and 3 days ago, Sarah became the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl. Her hat, her whistle, her flag, or the little yellow hanky, it's all in the Hall of Fame at this point. Anyway, she's a fascinating character and a wonderful storyteller, and is going to be the keynote speaker at today's lunch today. So we're off and running. We're gonna have a ton of fun as the show wears on. Um, Hop on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe while you're there. We would love to have you. The conversation will continue. I'll have all the interaction on YouTube that we normally have when we are back in studio. Other than that, we're due up for our first break, so we're gonna go ahead and take that. Actually, before we take that first break, it's never too early. Look, if you're not here at LABI's conference, if you're not here at LABI's annual meeting for lunch today, maybe swing on by Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. Or if you are planning to come to the Crowne Plaza today, you can go by Mooyah tomorrow. Nothing wrong with a little burger, little fries, and a milkshake on a Friday. Warming trend continues. It's perfect milkshake weather in the middle of the day. Booyah does it right, y'all. Fresh ingredients, freshly cut vegetables. They bake their potato buns fresh every day. You're getting the certified Angus beef, and you're getting the top-notch customer service. You'll find them on Segan, just north of Industrialplex. You will find them on Bluebonnet at Highland Road. Same great service at both locations. Segan's kind of the home base for me. Love bringing the kids by and letting them ring the bell on the way out the door. It's kind of a little Haldane tradition over there. Mooyah, burgers, fries, and shakes. They're good to go for lunch today or any day. Swing on by. All right, quick break. When we come back, we are talking with Libby Saunier next. Cool. Thank you. Okay. Uh, yes. Okay. I am not sure if YouTube can hear you or not. Talk to me again. No, YouTube's not hearing you, so you can just curse their names all day long. All right. Clinton's in. Good morning, Clinton. Morning, Byron. Did I say it's Friday? No. I said if you're already making plans to come by LABI's annual meeting today, you can make your lunch plans for Friday right now. I wish it was Friday. All right. Okay. Don't know if my wife is yet watching this morning. Good morning if you are, sweetheart. Oh, Eric, that's wrong. He's growing in the role, sir. He is. No, he's not. We will never not love Taylor. He's awesome. Byron says, I like the black curtains. Nice to know little Monsters interior decorating business is taking off. Hey, have you seen the Talk 1073 studio? We have the exact same black curtains. Don't tell anybody. It is not the best look. I mean, it is in a setting like this. Do what? Correct. Or again. Yep. All right, I'll do the next one on the back end of this interview. Yeah, we'll do. Okay. All right. All right, Clint says, Jake, if you're going to talk smack, turn on your mic, be a man. It's not a matter of, so if he were to turn on his mic, everything he would say to y'all would actually be on the air. In order for it to get back to my ears, it's got to go through either a Q pod, which y'all can't hear, or uh, one of the program feeds that feeds the air as well. So, yeah, our equipment was not, oh, sorry, there's equipment just out of the camera view. Wasn't built for that kind of rollback. This is gonna be weird. The way I had to set things up, my laptop's way out. Like I can't. You know what I can do? Let's do this. All right, cool. Is that better? Is that out of the screen? Yes, it is. Oh, I was supposed to say take this. 616 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. I'm sorry, 617 to Talk 1073. If this were a normal day, this would be our sports segment, and I'd be telling you that LSU is hosting the University of Georgia in the PMAC tonight. Kim Mulkey's LSU Tigers, and you'll hear it right here on Talk 1073 FM. Tip-off is for 7:30. Pregame starts at 7 right here on Talk 1073, right after Kevin Ford's Louisiana Outdoor Adventure. But it's not the normal day. We are on location at LABI's annual meeting, and we have a bevy of guests, including our next one. Libby Saunier is the executive director of the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. Libby, good morning. Welcome to Talk 1073. How are you? Glad to have you on here. Glad to be chatting this morning. Let's talk a little bit about the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. What's y'all's mission? What do y'all do? And your role with LABI, how does that relationship work? How do y'all, what is y'all's mission together? Let's talk a little bit about early care and education and the state of it here in the state of Louisiana. How do we rank compared to other states when it comes to early care and education? Mhm.
Oh, hey, Elena. I wasn't even paying attention. How are you? Oh, good. And you talk about those dollars that follow the children. This has been a conscious investment on the state's part. What kind of dollars are we talking about here? Okay. Mhm.
No, 100%. And as someone who has had two kids start school at pre-K and one who has started school at pre-K 3, the difference is visible very, very quickly. Now, the hard part is it's a generational investment that shows generational payoffs, but you don't see that level of ROI in a dollars and cents form right away. It's a long-term investment. We've got Libby Saunier for a couple more minutes. She's the executive director of the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. Uh, let's talk about the nature of that education as well, because I think one of the biggest hurdles y'all face is not really understanding the level that the level at which kids are taught and or cared for at the age of 3. Nobody's learning algebra at the age of 3. So walk us through a little bit about what it is that the curriculum is versus just the socialization, the nurturing aspect of it as well. Hmm. Where can folks go if they want to learn more, if they want to get a little more background on this? She is Libby Sonia, the executive director of the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. I appreciate you hopping on board for a couple minutes this morning. No, thank you as well. We got to take a quick break. We're kind of managing the clock as we go this morning. CBS News could be coming your way shortly. Quick break coming right back on Talk 107.3. All right, so YouTube could not. Yes, I know. So it says I'll look like I'm in a fishbowl that needs to be cleaned. That's because I am remarkably white. I need a tan. No, there's a light directly above me that's kind of throwing everything off. I wanted to set it up to where when the guests sit down in our next hour, they'll look better. So I'm told y'all could not hear the YouTube couldn't hear the caller at all. Okay, well, Don't know how to figure that one out yet. And the good news is there is one more over the phone guest, and then everyone else is in person, and you will hear everyone else in person for sure. Do I have this plugged into the right spot? I have to, because if I didn't have this plugged into the right spot, y'all wouldn't hear me either. That's the part I'm not understanding. No, it's not that. No. That's all the way up. That doesn't need to be up. None of these are on. What did that do? Nothing. Nothing at all. Try something out here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep, that's on too. I don't think there's a way to roll the phone back to the JK. I gotta return. I gotta return. Why is that unmixed? That doesn't make sense. Let me see if I can get. YouTube here. What's coming from the studio? All right, another question for you, YouTube, is when Jake plays that bump music coming back in, are y'all hearing that? Because it is coming through my headphones too. So I'm guessing y'all aren't hearing anything coming back from studio. Oh, cool. I wonder. How long I got, Jake? Oh, it's CBS News time. That's weird. Jake, are you there? Oh no, 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 no. No music. Okay, cool. I pulled up the stream uh, from the app, and it's just like a raw feed of me. Um, Once I get Mike on, let I don't know how to put Mike on YouTube or whatever, because if YouTube's not hearing you, they're not going to hear him either, right? I'm hearing you, but that's because you're in offline. But Libby was definitely like we didn't get any calls or anything saying we were off the air. Like when she'd talk and I'd listen, it wasn't just like dead air on air, right? Okay. Uh, do me a favor, check the external monitor when we have Mike on, just to be 1000% sure. And if that continues to be an issue, then well, Mike's the last phone call we have. Everything else is on site. So as far as the YouTube presentation is concerned, I'm not really sweating it too much. Um, so, uh, but yeah, this is the only issue we've had all day, then, or we're gonna have all day. Then that's yeah. Although I definitely don't want to jinx that. Yes, you did. And I'm gonna get in that Department of Treasury spot first. Okay, cool. Oh, all right. Let's see what we got going here. Is this going to talk 173 up in your? Yeah. Okay. Cold. Yeah, I just became aware of that a minute ago. I appreciate the heads up. Fortunately, I don't think I said anything foul. What the heck? My computer just went ballistic. Oh yeah, my laptop. The vMix is fine. Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yes, I've already texted her my order.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, she did? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, their website doesn't seem to work. Oh,
Morning.
okay. I just got your text. That makes so much more sense than what I was worried about. That's actually a better problem to have. It's all good. All good. Just if I hear 5 seconds of bumper music, I'm golden. Yeah, it's all good. 639 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We are already running behind schedule. Kind of knew that was going to happen though. When you take the show on the road and let the events unfold as they will, especially for such a jam-packed day like is going to go down at the Crowne Plaza today for LABI's annual meeting. These things happen. So we're going to keep it as close to the schedule as possible by wasting no more time and welcoming in the president and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute, Mike Summers. Mike, good morning, sir. How are you, man? No, glad to have you on here. There's a lot going on in your world right now. It feels like it's a lot of things in flux, as it were. We were at a spot a couple years ago. We're in a different spot now, so we'll break down as much as we can right here. Let's start with just the state of your industry right now. Yeah, and headwinds is a nice way to put it. I think full on roadblocks would be a little more. Uh, well, I tend to lean towards the cynical side, but um, what can be done about fighting the way through that and maintaining the industry while putting up that fight? And when the leases were first suspended, we were told there was a very specific set of what's being suspended, and we were also told it was temporary. Neither of those two scenarios is playing out the way it was sold to us on the front end. So, it, Are you when you appeal the ruling? Are you appealing based off of just we weren't told the way this is playing out, or is it based off of we just have to earn? We've got a right to make a living like everybody else. Mhm. Was talking with Congressman Garrett Graves on the show yesterday, and Congressman Graves brought up how there is when you look at the situation in Russia right now with the potential invasion of Ukraine and what that could mean on a worldwide stage, it actually hits very close to home when you bring the oil and gas industry back into it. Our level of interest there doesn't have to be as dependent as it is right now if we were to take the bull by the horns with our own production. No, he absolutely is, and I could dive into this discussion for hours on end if we can keep you that long. It lessons we should have learned through from Desert Storm through 9/11, like the dependence. We need independence, but in these remaining minutes, we've only got about 2 minutes left with Mike Summers, the president and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute. In these last 2 minutes, Mike, I want you to talk about how Louisiana's oil and gas industry, we're actually a little bit different. It's not the it. This is small business here that we're talking about. This is the mom and pop shops that run this thing here in Louisiana. He is Mike Summers, president and CEO of API. Mike, I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Likewise. Quick break, your money now, then we're right back at it on Talk 1073. All right. I got to figure out how to get guests on the phone over to YouTube. I don't know what's not feeding there because it looks like it's registering on the monitors. S- Yeah. No. You get that, and that's all you should be worried about. This is on my end. Uh, Hey, the people complaining on YouTube about the me looking all fuzzy. Do you think there's actual smoke on the camera? I didn't think about that. This thing has been used for nothing but a cigar shop. Would I would I damage the lens if I were to go grab like a napkin and try to wipe it off? Yeah. Out in the car, I do. Mm, okay, let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna step aside for a second. I'll be right back. You kidding me? That worked.
That worked.
That worked.
What? That's so aggravating, but also like good.
I I don't know why it didn't occur to me at first. This is, I mean, I was complaining about the smell all day yesterday, and I
Yeah.
went home and I didn't know if I could just, if it was on me, if I could like, is it in my nose? Like,
hilarious.
yeah, I'm back. Okay, all right. Clinton says might be the lighting as well. Looks like a rescue recessed light right over you. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And there's nothing I can do about that part. But so since we give you the behind the scenes on YouTube, that you're not going to get on the air, the kit that I have for the video broadcast into this is the same kit that Moscone uses to do the LSU postgame show, Whiskey and Wine. Whiskey and Wine comes to you from Don Juan's Cigar Bar. I think you could fill in the rest of the story from there. So yeah, it didn't occur to me at first, but I'm thinking the combination of if the light were lower, I'd probably look a lot more clear. But such as it is, that worked though somewhat. Starting to be people trickling down the hallway. This is gonna be fun. Once registration opens up, this room's gonna get very active. Now, what I really need to look into is once we have a guest on site, that's where participation should really pick up. I don't know if well, yeah, I'm doing top stories and trending from here, so we should be good on that front. That's all. Yeah, all I want to hear is the numbers. Cool. Okay. It's all gonna be no paper today because I didn't have access to a printer. If I wanted to wake up another half an hour early, I could have made it down to the studio to print everything and then head out to the Crowne Plaza. And then I decided, hey, let's just do this paperless. All right. .653. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. The CBS World News Roundup coming your way less than 7 minutes from now. You've been hearing the reports from Ashley Foshe in traffic this morning. All lanes have reopened on I-12 westbound at O'Neill. We've been looking at a number of delays on 12 westbound throughout the morning. Before the show got started, everything was down to one lane. I guess that was due to overnight interstate construction as you're approaching College Drive. That was, I believe, removed and cleared up. And then, sure enough, an 18-wheeler that was carrying produce crashed on I-12 West near the O'Neill Lane exit. It was actually a four-car crash involving the 18-wheeler. Blocked 2 lanes of 12 West near O'Neill. So looks like that's clearing or in the clearing stages right now. And what we are looking at here is a lot of built-up traffic as a result of it. So it's going to take a minute. You get your normal morning drive and then add $50,000 worth of produce, and you're left with what you've got on I-12 westbound right now. We've got a lot of ground to cover here this morning. Registration's about to get started up. If you're wondering why I sound a little bit different, that's because I am on location today at the Crowne Plaza. This is the Louisiana Association of Business and Industries annual meeting presented by Cajun Industries. The annual meeting, this is one of those ones where we love to get outside of the studio and get into the meat of the whole thing, because number one, we're going to have guests from the meeting all day long or all morning long as the show wears on. Coming up at 7:15, Tommy Foshe is the president and CEO of the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. He's going to join us. We will have our normal Crime Stopper segment. Very much looking forward to talking with Mike Kimball from the Baton Rouge Fire Department about how one of his dudes was able to subdue a would-be robber at the Be Quick on Greenwell Springs. We'll talk about that, but we'll also talk about how Baton Rouge Fire Department's arson investigators work together with Crime Stoppers. That's coming up at 7:35. In the 8 o'clock hour, Christelle Slaughter, as the 2022 LABI chair, she is also the CEO of SSA Consultants. Cannot wait for that conversation, and then we'll round things up by talking with Bo Staples. Bo is with LABI. We had him on a couple weeks ago as the redistricting session was getting underway. We had him on a normal Monday segment to have that conversation. Want to continue that conversation this morning as we're a couple weeks into the redistricting session. They've only got 20 days to get everything done. And where are we right now? The topic that's on everybody's mind, the topic that's top of mind, top of the headline, above the fold, as they used to say, is the congressional districts, which, true, you're never going to ignore that. Kind of a big deal. But there's only so much can be done in that regard. There's only so much you could do to divvy up those 6 districts. What we're looking at here is state senate, state representative, Louisiana Supreme Court, Bessie board. That plays into it. A number of other different individual maps are going to come out of this session, and we're going to look at as many of them as we can. Hey, before we get you to news here at the top of the hour, I did not want the entire show to go by without mentioning our COVID numbers lately. Have you seen what's going on? Specifically with the hospitalizations? You know, they said a little more than a week ago, the Omicron variant, well, they said a couple weeks ago, the Omicron variant is definitely waning, and it would take some time before we actually saw those dividends in the numbers from the Louisiana Department of Health. Well, the Department of Health is showing those dividends now. Yesterday, we just had 2,423 new cases. There were 51 new deaths. But the number of COVID patients in the hospital dropped by 103 over the course of one day. We're down to 1,435. Still a big number. Still a big number. But when you consider just a couple weeks ago, we were well over 2,000, well over 2,100. Seeing a drop like this as it's dropping is always encouraging, especially this time of year. That 51 new deaths, though, look, the governor said this in darn near every press conference. The governor and Dr. Cantor have both said this in darn near every press conference they've had. The lagging indicators. you're going to see hospitalizations lag behind transmission, and you are going to see, sadly, deaths are going to lag behind hospitalizations. So, um, we're going to have top stories and trending for you coming up right after we check news at the top of the hour. The CBS World News Roundup, as we do every single day, is coming your way less than 2 minutes from right now. While I've got a minute, though, got to ask if you've checked out lacashclaim.org. Have you checked out lacashclaim.org yet? What is lacashclaim.org, you ask? I'm happy to answer that. This is State Treasurer John Schroeder making the unclaimed property program that much more convenient for you and me. There's over $900 million just sitting there. It belongs to us. I've checked. I'm not on the list. My mom is, though. I have numerous relatives on the list. Go to lacashclaim.org, submit your claim there, put your name in, put your zip code in, find out if you've got some money that's owed to you. If you've ever moved from one location to another, left a security deposit, changed over your electrical deposit, if you've ever left a job and maybe you had a retirement account sitting there, maybe you left some money in a 401k, maybe you left some matching funds behind, maybe you had some kind of a health savings account. There's countless, seemingly countless possibilities of why money would have to be turned back over to the state, but it actually belongs to you, and you can get yours courtesy of the state treasurer, John Schroeder, at lacashclaim.org. It is a remarkably easy process. Speaking of the treasurer, he's going to join us on tomorrow's show, which I'm very much looking forward to. We're going to have the treasurer at 7:15 tomorrow. Of course, we'll have Haggai Davis for a cup of tech gumbo at 6:35. But after the treasurer, we are going to talk with Aaron Baham from Celtic Studios. Why are we talking with Aaron Baham from Celtic Studios? I think that answer is going to be coming up on our trending story right after we check news. So let's get you to news right now on Talk 107.3 FM. Yeah. Like I said, I've got the exact same clock in front of me that I do. The only thing that I can't really do is toggle back and forth between this clock and the rest of the internet. If I wanted to have a separate monitor for it like I do in studio, it could be up all the time, but bees what it bees. Just the 30 seconds. I can manage 30 seconds in my head. Oh, with the oversized collar silk shirt. Oh, jeez, yeah. Talking about memories of the 70s. That's funny. It's too far away. There we go. What's happening, Tommy? How you been?
I'm glad I'm not out on I-12 behind a truck of salad.
Bro,
Wait,
$50,000 worth of produce.
Well, I heard you say 50,000. I'm like, how much? Yeah.
Well, so Ashley Frugier at WBRZ tweeted $50,000 worth of produce. I'm like,
Is that how you got it?
who made that their first question?
Right. Like the guy sitting in behind it gives a damn.
Right. You know, it's
But no, that's a mess.
it's 50,000. They gotta upcharge you if they have an avocado.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that this morning?
Yeah, and it was like literally right after. So they got 12 squeezed down to one lane overnight. I'm thinking it's the College Drive flyover that they're working on. They got 12 squeezed down to one lane overnight. So when I was driving up here, like 4:15, I mean it was just like one steady convoy, one lane, the outside lane of 12.
Lord.
So as they were opening that up, that's when this accident happened. I think somebody tried to go a little bit faster than they should have to like make up time. And yeah, I love the idea that somebody said, "Hey, what's all that lettuce worth?"
Well, I heard, when I first heard it, a large 18-wheeler, first thing I'm thinking is, oh, they got it to be a chemical.
Oh,
yeah.
always.
And I'm like, Jesus. And then when he said salad, I'm like, well, I'm glad to see somebody else's truck.
That is really unfortunate.
Apple. Not really watermelon seeds.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Byron says the Treasury Department should be consolidated in the Department of Revenue, nothing more than a springboard for aspiring politicians. Well, why would the Department of Revenue fall under the Treasury? You want your head of all the money to be an elected official who's accountable directly to the voters or an appointee? I guess it's the same question as asking about judges, right? Like why we elect our judges. Yeah, he's gonna be out here. Yeah, all the rest of the guests are out here, so we're good to go. For the on scene interviews, absolutely. For the first two, just find headshots. There's plenty of headshots of both of those people.
Hey, did you see my text about Buddy Menzies? Yeah.
Okay.
He texted me about, he's like, I don't have a ticket. I don't have one. Wait, who did I send that to? Who did you send me? Buddy Menzies. Okay. And he needs a seat. He asked for a seat. Yeah. So. Okay. But it's not. I just was doing my due diligence and telling you that he texted me about. Yeah. I'm gonna call him. Okay. Awesome. I'll text him.
Yeah, no, all good. All good. All right. They duplicate many services. Um, it's a sweet gig though. Go around the state playing Santa with people's own money and garnishing name recognition for higher offices. I mean, it got John Kennedy in the Senate, didn't it? It's going to be interesting when you see current state officials running for governor next year, because that's exactly right. John Schroeder gets to put money in people's pockets. Billy Nungesser gets to play the state's cheerleader. Jeff Landry, that's a tougher sell. Cool. It's when I had my first heartbreak. I still remember the age. My father said, don't you worry, child. See, heaven's got a plan for you.
Huh?
Hour two of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Jake back in the home base, producing 706 at Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. We're on location at the Crowne Plaza today for LABI's annual meeting. It's a big one, y'all. I look forward to this one. We did this right before the pandemic as well. You know, back when we were all allowed to gather together and just recreate amongst ourselves. But we're back at it now. Sarah Thomas going to be the keynote speaker at today's lunch. This should be fun. This should be fun. Was the first female to officiate a Super Bowl last year. 1 year and 3 days ago. Sarah was the official of the Super Bowl. Her hat, her whistle, her flag, they're all on display in the NFL Hall of Fame. The rundown from LABI's little brochure on the day. Since joining the NFL's roster of officials, she has become a trailblazing inspiration to women everywhere, embodying the notion that with a belief in self, inner drive, hard work, preparation, and a mindset of being the best you can be, no barrier or ceiling is impenetrable. I I'm looking forward to this one. This one's going to be a fun lunch to say the least. And that's not all that's going on here today. Of course, I'm in the registration room. As the folks start to trickle in, you're going to start to hear a lot of noise in the background. That is because as they get started, they're going to be getting ready for our panel discussion, the future of healthcare, and a redistricting update. Speaking of that redistricting update, we're going to be covering that as we get towards the end of the show. Bo Staples from LABI is going to join me at 8:35 to talk about this. It's they're almost halfway through, or right at halfway through the special redistricting session. We've taken a deep dive on this darn near every day. I believe we're stepping away from it tomorrow. Tomorrow's show. We've been trying to do every day, but it's tomorrow. We got a lot going on. We'll tease tomorrow's show tomorrow. Coming up at 7:15, we're going to talk with the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. We just sorry, in our last hour, we talked with Mike Summers from API. Going to continue that conversation, but on a more local level. Similar conversation, but a more local level. Right now, though, as we do lead off the second hour of the show every day, it's time for Top Stories and Trending. We're going to start over with the advocate and lit Yoshi after prosecutors said his DNA was found on confiscated guns. Baton Rouge rapper Lit Yoshi will apparently remain jailed until his July trial on 7 attempted first-degree murder counts stemming from a pair of rap rivalry shootings in the city back in 2020. Attorneys for the rapper, whose given name is Mayoshi Edwards, on Wednesday withdrew a motion they filed in December to reinstate his bond and make him eligible for release. The lawyer said new DNA evidence played a role in their withdrawing that motion. As Baton Rouge continues to see a record number of overdose deaths across our community, there's a unique plan that'll be announced targeting the dealers selling the poison on the streets. Peer support specialist Tanja Miles said those in the recovery community are working together in hopes of putting a stop to it. Money will be allocated to Crime Stoppers to give drug addicts who give enough information that leads to their drug dealer's arrest. Those who participate can make between a few $100s up to about $1,000. Last year, Baton Rouge broke its third consecutive record for deadly overdoses. There were 312 deaths last year. Nearly 93% of those were from some type of opioid. Close to 90% are directly related to fentanyl. There have been 45 suspected overdose deaths for the month of January, up more than 55% from last year's record. A third suspect's in custody in connection with an ongoing catalytic converter theft ring in the capital area. BRPD arrested 42-year-old Gregory Glenn Smith for the theft of two converters from Moe's Auto on Airline in July of 2021. Investigations into his text conversations reveal he was in communication with Matthew Gibson, one of the two previously who was arrested for this. Gibson and his wife were arrested on their home back on February 3rd in possession of, get this, 101 stolen catalytic converters. They were also found in possession of various narcotics, including heroin, LSD, and methamphetamines. Kirby Smith's coming down, y'all. Oh my goodness. It's like closing a chapter on Baton Rouge's history, the most glorious and infamous chapter on Baton Rouge's history. The notorious curb finally scheduled to come down 3 years after its replacement was built in the long-standing dorm's parking lot. University officials said yesterday the looming building is scheduled to be imploded in June of this year. Gonna have to head out there. Gonna have to pour one out for the old curb. Yes, I did live in Kirby Smith for a full semester. In October of 2018, WBRZ reported that LSU planned to make several changes to campus by demolishing rundown housing halls that were built in the 60s. The list included Herget, Miller, McVoy, Acadiana, and Broussard. Kirby's replacement, Spruce Hall, was built in front of that dorm. Once removed, the land will be turned into green space. A teenager was seriously injured in a shooting last night near McKinley High. Officers are investigating a shooting near McKinley High that injured a teenager Wednesday night. According to BRPD, that teenager was shot along East McKinley Street near Georgia Street shortly after 8 p.m. Sources said that teenager was rushed to the hospital in serious condition. Those are your top stories. Here is a look at what's trending this morning. Scrolling down. Normally I just crumple up a piece of paper and throw it away. Yeah, we went paperless for the remote broadcast. I don't know if I'm enjoying this or not. I like the physically crumpling up of paper. Catherine Zeta-Jones will star in a Disney Plus series that will be filmed right here in Baton Rouge. The story of National Treasure has moved from the nation's capital to the capital area in a new Disney Plus series set to start filming middle of this month. According to a statement released by the mayor's office, the series stars Lizette Alexis playing a young puzzle solver in Baton Rouge trying to solve a lost Pan American treasure. What? She will also be joined by actress Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's National Treasure, and we're not going to get Nicolas Cage. How? How do you not get Nicolas Cage for this? Like, how do you? I'm going to steal Huey Long. Like, how do you? I'm going to rob Huey Long's grave. I'm gonna kidnap John Bell Edwards. Like, how do you not go for Nicolas Cage on this? Filming is expected to wrap up in July, but no release date has been set. Also, searching for a Pan American treasure? No, I'm sorry. Disney, we need to have a little sit down. We need to have a little meeting. Maybe we can already book season 2. Can we get season 2 on the books right now? Jean Lafitte's treasure is what you need to be looking for here in Louisiana. It should be on the big screen. This should be Benjamin Gates. Nicolas Cage is Benjamin Gates looking for Jean Lafitte's treasure somewhere in Louisiana. You wrap it in with like contraband days over in Lake Charles. You bring it back around up the Mississippi River. Look, we've got seasons on top of seasons. You've got the platform. I've got the content. Disney, let's get together. By the way, Aaron Bayham from Celtic Studios is going to join me at 7:35 tomorrow. We're going to break this down from every possible angle. We are late for a break, so let's take that break right now. When we come back, we're talking with Tommy Foshe from Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. That's coming up next.
But I couldn't find it.
Sorry, I missed your call.
No,
I was in the middle of a
I
segment.
didn't know. I walked right past you.
Yeah. Good to see you again. Good to see you again. Y'all becoming regulars, man. I like it. I like it. All right, come on over, Tommy.
Look at this Catherine Zeta-Jones thing. I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah. This dropped yesterday.
Just
Can I get a
so
picture?
long.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thanks.
Right.
And I have been saying it right. It's Foshe. I believe the last time I talked to you was Foshe.
Not a lot of
but
people do.
yeah.
Steven told me it was Foshe. I'm like,
It's
it's Foshe?
not. We play it. It's a whole
doing
thing.
that.
It's Foshe. Are you Foshe?
Depends how late in the evening it is. Sometimes it gets a little wild.
Oh, come back this way. Come back this way just a little bit. I'll move back. Yeah, keep it all on the YouTubes.
It's all good. I like that. I caught the end of your time with Mike Summers.
Yeah, he's do what?
He said anything?
Not really. Honestly, I don't know if I should be taking this angle, but the Russia-Ukraine situation, I don't know. As I talk about it, it's like, is this one of those never miss an opportunity thing of
Talk about
in crisis? But like, it's real though. If we're dependent on them for oil, then
you got American companies that they really do want, the administration wants to surge in energy production, while at the same time they're shutting us down in the Gulf of Mexico for domestic production.
right,
Which one is it?
right,
Which one do they really want?
right. And Morgan City's not about to invade Ukraine.
No, but they could benefit from offshore drilling.
I'm gonna turn this just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll go where you want. I'll get as
I
close.
didn't realize how much background I had.
It's always wild when you get on the road.
It is, and this is our first time out with video. I haven't been out on the road since before the pandemic, and before the pandemic, I didn't have this whole
video.
getup.
I got you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
No, you're not off base with the Russia-Ukraine thing. It's real. Everybody's watching, wondering what's going to happen.
oil and gas. They said the Gulf leases. I wasn't going to bring. That's not really y'all, right?
No, we get into some of that. I was going to talk a little bit about
Okay,
it.
all right.
I won't go deep into it because we're also figuring out exactly how we want to approach it, but it's an issue.
Oh, All right.
Talking with some senators last night. I mean, especially down along the coast, they know it's an issue. Those guys need work.
Yeah. Jake, how much back? Okay, cool. Sorry. I unpacked in a hurry this morning. I'm always in a hurry till I realize how much time I have, and then I'm like, wow, that's now I can just sit forever.
It's a roll of the dice, man.
It is. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Give me 1, 2, 3.
Check 1, 2, 3. That's good.
Yeah, we're good. We're about on the same level. Go ahead, Tommy.
Check 1, 2, 3. I can keep going.
Yeah, we're all good.
Can't sing like you, but you know, I can pretend.
I don't. I don't sing. I dance when I'm drunk, but I don't sing.
Hey, now you're talking.
Here you go for the WBRZ.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a Disney Plus subscriber. I'd like some more Nicolas Cage.
You know, I guess he's just the big screen into this, and that honestly, I started pitching Gene Lafitte's Treasure before they had a National Treasure too.
Yeah.
I'm like, bring this home. Let's get some film tax
next
credits
big-
spent and get some people employed.
You can tell I have small kids. Be the next big thing since Princess and the Frog.
Right?
Come on, Disney, let's do it. Now, should I hear it all? There we go.
All right, 719 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Still working the bugs out on the road a little bit, but we have reached a new level. That level is remote. On location out at the LABI annual meeting. We're at the Crowne Plaza if you want to swing on by, or if you happen to be coming by because you're attending, well, we're in the registration room where you're going to find us. We are ready to welcome in our first in-person guest this morning. That's Tommy Foshe. He is the president and CEO of the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. Tommy, welcome back, man. How are you?
I am good. Good morning. This
morning.
is always a great event. Glad to be here with our LABI friend.
It is a great event, and they're going to have the breakout session or the panel discussion on healthcare and redistricting. You know what? Honestly, we were going to start in a different place, but I got to ask you: does the redistricting session affect what LMOGA does at all, or is it just kind of you take the cards you're dealt?
No, look, we watch it. We understand it's a stressful time for the legislature, members of Congress, everybody who has to get elected. But that's their business, and they will figure out how to get it done. I am confident, and the lines will get set, and then we will all work with whoever it is, wherever they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen a population shift towards the south. I mean, from the oil and gas industry perspective, does that change where jobs go and how many jobs are available?
Look, workforce is important, and you need to have a strong population to support that. We've seen the numbers of people leaving Louisiana, which is always unfortunate. I think we need people on the coast. We need people in North Louisiana. I mean, look, our industry is very diverse, and whether you're up at the Haynesville Shale, you're working on offshore along the coast, or one of these refineries up and down the river, or out in Lake Charles, you need the people.
Right.
At the end of the day, you can't do anything without the people.
Exactly.
And so that it matters that they're here, and it matters where they are. So we're watching. We wish the legislature the best. And, they'll get it done.
So you play the card you're dealt. Is
That's
the roundabout answer to that one. Hey, let's talk about y'all's relationship with LABI. I mean, this has been a long-standing relationship, a very mutually beneficial relationship as well. But talk about how Lamoga works with LABI.
Sure. So, look, we're the oil and natural gas industry, but at the end of the day, that also means we are a network of a lot of businesses of all sizes. Mm-hmm. And so, what is good for business in Louisiana often is good for Lamoga and our members. LABI is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Stephen Wagasback and his team. They get it. They get it better than a lot of state chambers type organizations around the country. In previous lives, I've had the opportunity to work in state capitals around the southeastern U.S. And his team gets it. And so our relationship with them, I just can't say enough good things, because when we work together, we figure out how to grow those jobs in Louisiana,
right,
how to create an education system that's hopefully going to create the pipeline we need Without a strong LABI um, working side by side with us, the job gets a lot harder. And I hope they'd say the same about Lamoga. They're fantastic.
No,
Those guys.
yeah, no doubt that they would. And it is interesting because lobby is basically the state's chamber of commerce. And when it comes to the oil and gas industry, there are different needs from offshore leases to Haynesville Shale and every step in between. And one of the things that I like to talk about a lot because I don't think it resonates or I don't think people understand when you think oil and gas, you think of big industry. In Louisiana, that's not necessarily the case. When you talk about oil and gas, you're talking about mom and pops here. We're not like Houston. We do things on a more personal level here, and being able to adapt to everything under that umbrella is important.
Look, I think you're spot on. Our membership is those big guys,
Yeah.
those big majors, all the way down to the small companies that are either doing their own exploration work or just servicing the big guys.
Right.
Look, you can't you can't talk enough about the multiplier effect of our industry. Um, you know, these refineries, these big companies doing work in the Gulf, they need the local companies in Houma and Morgan City and Lake Charles, in the river parishes. It is very much an ecosystem of different types of businesses that make the whole machine.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a couple of current headlines. I want to start with the appeal of the leases in the Gulf of Mexico. What's y'all's role in that? What's your takeaway, or what's your crystal ball it for us? What's y'all's role first, and then where do you see it headed?
Sure. So look, the importance of offshore leases to Louisiana um, is great. You know, we have an administration that is. I heard you talking a little bit about Russia, Ukraine earlier with Mike
Oh,
Summers.
we'll get into that.
I think you have an administration that wants to see more U.S. production at a time when the global energy um, uh, picture is tenuous. But at the same time, here we go. We're used to historically being in a predictable space when it comes to offshore leases. You know you're going to have a 5-year plan. You know there will be lease sales that come in there, and then everybody just goes to work. There's a cadence to this.
Okay.
We were headed there, and then all of a sudden, here comes a federal judge that says, "Time out. We're going to validate these leases." The federal process wasn't followed properly, and people may stop and think, well, that's a fight in Washington. That's a fight in the federal courthouse. No, that's a federal. That's a fight along the coast of Louisiana in small towns to the point I was just making that employs real Louisiana, real local business owners. If they don't know that that offshore work is coming, and then worse, if it doesn't actually happen,
Right.
that's putting their businesses in jeopardy. It's putting their livelihoods in jeopardy. It's putting their families' future in jeopardy. So the offshore lease sales is something we're spending a lot of time on. API filed an appeal. We've made some statements and been working with our congressional delegation, Senator Cassidy, Congressman Graves, and others. We have to continue to keep the pressure. We have to continue to remind people that the nation's energy often comes out of that Gulf of Mexico through Louisiana.
And you're hitting it from the perspective of the jobs, and I appreciate the fact that you're hitting it from a people's perspective, the people of Louisiana that need to be employed. But there's also the perspective of if you want it done better, you do it yourself. If you want it done better, you keep it in house. You don't farm it out to other parts of the world where you have no oversight. That's what we're doing right now, and now we'll bring the conversation back to Russia. And that's what we're doing right now, where the more you send overseas, the less control you have over how green you are, how clean you are, and how much you're taking care of, what a steward you are of your own resources. So let's look overseas real quick. What are we looking at within our dependence on Russia right now?
So it's hard for me to say what the dependence on Russia is. I think, however, what we know is we have U.S. needs.
Mhm.
We know that a lot of those needs are taken care of by the work we do here in Louisiana. And so we need an administration that's going to focus on what makes the U.S. industry stronger. And by the way, we can do it. We can do it better than anyone else in the world. We can do it cleaner than anyone else in the world. Our companies, our members of our association are spending a lot of time figuring out how to continue to produce energy, but do it, um, less carbon intensive. They're going there. They want to go there. The market will help them go there. The administration just needs to get out the way and let us do it.
Okay, so as far as the administration getting out of the way is concerned, let me re-ask the question this way: will Russian aggression be an impetus to create more domestic production?
I would think it should, but I don't know what the administration and how they'll react.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What are you looking forward to here today?
I'm excited about today. I think one, you touched on it earlier. I think the fact that we're just all convening in person, we can't overstate that. The idea that we can get business leaders from across the state in the same room talking about the issues important to Louisiana, that right there, big win for today.
Huge.
Before we hear anything else, I am pumped about Sarah Thomas. I just think that's going to be so cool. Um, Look, not to pivot back, diversity is big. Whether it's in the NFL, whether it's in our companies, or in our local governments, we need that. She is a rock star. I've heard great things. I've purposefully tried to not look at too much of her history because I want to just be wild today.
Okay, and it will be. It will be. As I understand, it's a very engaging presentation to be sure. And I'm sure, first female official in the Super Bowl. I'm sure she's heard all the jokes. I hear she's very self-deprecating about it as well. Is that, the first flag she threw, the coach said what? She said nothing. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I've caught a glimpse of a few of them, and it's pretty darn great.
I have a list of calls, in my long life as a Saints fan that I'd love to put in front of her and say, how would you have called this one?
Oh,
As we watch the Rams go to the
100.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Nola no
Yeah,
call.
God help us.
Absolutely. Not bitter at all about that. Still, 3
Nope.
years later, 2 years later, 3 years
It's
later.
gonna live with me forever.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meanwhile, we got a lot to get done today. There's a lot on the agenda, so I'm going to let you get back to it. Closing thoughts though before we have 60 seconds till break. The upcoming legislative session. Your top 3 priorities heading in are what?
I think one, we want to make sure that um, whatever we see around long-term climate action is appropriate. Like I said, our companies are wanting to go there. We've seen the climate task force wrap up with a final plan. So we will be watching that. We want to, continue to look at the total cost of doing business in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And there are items that we can look at even this year when it's not a tax session. And then after that, I think it's all about just issues that continue. We're going to see some talk about education. I can't, that's where it starts. It really does. I go back to the people. We need to get it right. We're coming out of a really upside down period with COVID. We've got to make sure that the education landscape is solid. This is the only way that I know we'll have a solid workforce for generations to come.
He is Tommy Foshe, President and CEO of the Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association. I appreciate you stopping by for a couple minutes. Enjoy the day.
Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Here comes CBS News on Talk 107.3. Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Thank you so much.
Hope to do it again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, goodness.
Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, but it's going to be close all again.
You think?
Yeah.
About the Rams. There might be a little
Something there?
got a little something there, and I'm pretty pumped about it. Yeah, so kind of towards the end of her thing, stay tuned. Yeah.
Best of luck to all y'all today.
Yeah, this lighting is amazing. How's it going? Oh, hey, don't help it. No, like the fact that I'm like the palest person ever.
Oh, I mean,
You're good. You're good. Hey, Jake, you there? Okay. I still have 3 more lives to go. I'm going to knock out one in the outside in segment. I'm going to knock out Hope Ministries before tossing to you for this day in history. And then I'll save the complete collision for the end. Yeah. No. I'll still be in it. Leave yourself an offline so I can at least mess with you a little bit. We're just going to work on the timing of it, though. Is the only thing I'm worried about. So we'll be good. Sorry, I'm going to take my headset off for a minute.
I don't know if you was going to get started.
You what?
I put mine on because I thought you was getting ready to get started.
No, we got about 5 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, I've known Clint for years. He's a good dude.
He's something, man. He's doing a lot for us right now with his computer skills stuff. He's sharp. He's very sharp.
I know. So AD is a minute, oh, here is wherever it's supposed to be. But the AD is about like on shrubs or stuff like that. Yeah, it's $50,000 worth of produce that turned around. That's what Brian said this morning. It's a bunch of lettuce. Where? Monticello, somewhere. Livingston, I think. I don't know.
O'Neill.
O'Neill. Oh, never mind. Oh, wow.
It has. But the way it went, it was like a 1-2 punch because they had everything shut down for construction overnight. So it was down to one lane to begin with. When I was driving up here at like 4:20, 4:30 this morning, and it was one lane. So it's like a steady convoy. Where at? On O'Neill. So you had the accident on 12 at O'Neill and then the pedestrian on O'Neill at 12. Why do we have so many people get hit by cars? Oh. You just want me to carry that guilt now? Okay. Share the guilt with the chief. That's fair. Snap. We got a couple, like 2 more minutes. Got a monitor, so it won't. What? Y'all going out to Howell Park today?
What's it, how far?
Reading some in the Advocate right now. Brecht's first ever prescribed burn scheduled today at the Howell Community Park. A controlled fire will help revitalize 5 acres of grow zone.
No, they ain't told us nothing about it. Doesn't mean they don't, though. First I heard of that.
Yes, I am. Cool.
Yes, it is time for Crime Stoppers, and it is time to welcome in Baton Rouge's Fire Chief Mike Kimball. Mike, welcome back, man. How are you?
Good, Brian. Thanks for having us on this morning.
Oh, love having y'all on. It's you've been a regular since moving into the new role here. I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. I said the first time out, don't be a stranger. So absolutely, we appreciate your time. We're going to talk about arson investigations in a little bit.
All right.
In a little bit, but I got to take it back to the Be Quick first. You got a guy on scene who's able to subdue a would be. I don't. Was he robbing the place or holding somebody up in particular?
We're really not sure at this point. Like I said, the sheriff's office is the one investigating that
Mhm.
side of the investigation.
How? I mean, I don't read about this in the news very often. How rare of an occurrence is this?
Very rare. Very rare. You know, I mean, fortunately, our inspector was at the right spot at the right time.
So, I mean, y'all are fires. Like you fight fires. This isn't a matter of. This isn't part of the normal training, right?
Not at all. Not at all. We're trained to run into burning buildings,
Right.
medical scenes, hazmat incidents, technical rescues, not a stabbing. We go to a stabbing, the stabbing's already take place. Law enforcement, our partners from BRPD,
Right.
have secured the scene,
Mm-hmm.
and we go and take care of the medical. This situation was completely opposite.
So, couple questions about it. First of all, how did you come to learn about it? I mean, was it is there protocol within the apartment about information trickling up and down about this sort of thing? Because again, y'all fight fires, not knives.
Sure. When the 911 calls come in, our guy was, he was in his uniform, so of course our fire communication system received that information and they passed it on throughout the department to the proper officials.
Second part of this is the firefighter who did subdue this would be bad guy. Um, he's okay. He
Yeah,
didn't catch
yes,
it. He didn't catch a random.
No, sir.
Okay.
He was very fortunate. No injuries.
Good to
Lucky,
know.
very
Good to know.
lucky.
Now the third and final part before we move on to talk about arson investigations, and that is how impossible is he to contain right now? I mean, he's got to be over the moon, like just talking smack everywhere he goes, right?
Well, not exactly. I mean, in the fire service, we're very humble people. All public servants are humble. We don't like the recognition for doing what we do every day. That's our job. We get up in the morning and do what we do, right? And a lot of times we do heroic acts. That's what public servants do, and all fire, police, law enforcement, EMS. But that's just what we do. It's not about the recognition. It's just get the job done.
I don't know if I'm buying it. I don't know if I'm buying it.
He reacted. He just went to work.
It's
Did what you do.
right?
You show up and do a fine radio show's job, and he went to work. It is.
All right, we gotta shift gears and talk a little bit about arson investigations because this is the Crime Stopper segment, and this does come into play. Let's start with frequency right now. When we get the press releases on different fires, when we see cause accidental, cause electrical outlet, cause unintended stove, whatever the case might be. But when I see that still under investigation, how frequent is that, and is that on the rise?
Well, the under investigations means that our investigators that determine how the fire started
Mhm.
might not have it exactly pinpointed at that time.
Okay.
That's what that means. If it's under investigation, but
Mhm.
now if it's arson, we know that somebody intentionally set it.
Okay, how quickly do you know that?
Sometimes immediately.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes some time. We have a 5-man squad that is very an elite group of folks
Mhm.
that are very highly trained to determine how a fire starts and go out and apprehend these people that's responsible for doing damage to other people's property.
Without getting too deep into the weeds, what are some of the telltale signs?
A lot of time it's a crime concealment from other crimes, domestic. Sometimes we have people they just like watching stuff burn.
Mhm.
We have some of that at times.
The people that just like watching stuff burn, I would imagine normally their intent is not to harm someone, but just to watch something burn. When we see like a fire found at a vacant home or something like that, is that normally a trigger that says we should start looking in this direction?
Well, at times we start with the scene
Mhm.
and go from there with what our findings are for our investigators. And just because it's a vacant home, don't always mean there was a pyromaniac there trying to burn it down just to
Sure.
watch it, right? There's always could be a possibility to be something else involved. But we dig into it, and we have these people that we find that's doing that for that reason. We try to dig into it more to understand why they do what they do, so we can help those people. Because that's a mental health issue at that point, right? There's people that's doing it to burn it just to watch it. Those are people that need help.
Yeah.
We want to help them as much as possible.
Which let's talk clearance rates for just a second.
What's the arson investigators? What is y'all's clearance rates? Your batting average, if you will.
I don't have the exact number for you now. We were above the national standard for 2021. The Baton Rouge Fire Department has always been above on our clearance rate, and our arrest rate is again at the top of the nation by the clearance rate.
Very, very good to know. All right, from a collaboration standpoint, working with Crime Stoppers, what's the back and forth like in that regard?
If it wasn't for Crime Stoppers, we wouldn't have to get the things done that we do. We're very fortunate to have a partnership with those great folks, and we're able to get the information put out, and they are able to get out to the media and to help us with that funding to get people to come forward and get information put out so we can take these bad people off the street.
Is there any difference between the work of an arson investigator versus, say, let's say, a homicide detective, where if a tip comes into Crime Stoppers, they know enough to know enough, but it does remain anonymous, so there's not a whole lot of follow-up y'all could do in that regard. Like, do y'all have the same launching point as you would from a police standpoint?
100%. Our arson investigators are commissioned law enforcement personnel. I was very fortunate to work with that squad for about 4 years and transferred out of there to the fire chief's office. So I know exactly what these guys go through every single day. They are able to get that information from Crime Stoppers and run with it and find their source and get their suspect off the street, just as any homicide or armed robbery suspect is located.
I believe you said 5 investigators.
We have 5-man squad, yes, sir.
Y'all full up? I mean, are you?
That's what we have. Our allotment is for 5 folks.
Okay, and is that you're obviously getting the job done if your clearance rate is surpassing the rest of the national average. But for Baton Rouge, when we see the number of fires that we have, I mean, is that about on par?
We work way more fires than investigators that we need more investigators, but that's just our allotment that we have at this time, and those guys go above and beyond every single day, working day and night to clear their cases.
I asked you this last time you were on. I kind of want to reiterate it again or revisit it again because we're still the part of the year where it's cold overnight. We're going to have warming trends during the day, but is y'all's work more seasonal?
At times, during these real cold snaps, people's trying to get warm, and these folks that don't have the ways of natural gas or heaters, they find ways to heat their home with open flame devices. And we highly encourage people to make sure that they keep all combustibles closed, their couch stuff away from those open fires. Don't use their stove tops to heat the house up. Have a good working smoke detector in the house.
Is a stovetop effective to keep a house warm?
At times, you'd be very surprised.
Really, I would be surprised. That's that it feels like
we encourage people not to do that.
Of course not. Of course not. We got Baton Rouge Fire Chief Mike Kimball on. We're talking a little bit about arson investigations and the partnership with Crime Stoppers. So, walk us through the process from your end when you get the tip from Crime Stoppers directly to investigators, and then what?
Yeah. So when we get the tip back from our partners at Crime Stoppers, we get we move forward and try to locate that individual. Once we get them into custody, we just let Crime Stoppers know that, hey, this person's been in custody. We don't know who the source is. We never get that information. We're just fortunate these people come forward and give this information out. And we never have a contact with nobody from the source that's giving the information to Crime Stoppers.
Are there different levels to arson like there would be for other crimes? I mean, is there I don't want to go down the hate crime route, but are there different levels to it?
Yeah, there's simple arson, aggravated arson, negligent arson. Simple arson is where there's no bodily danger to anybody's just a property. Aggravated arson is where a person's life is in jeopardy, right? Somebody could have got hurt. And negligent arson is if you're committing a crime and you accidentally set a fire by knocking a candle over or something like that. That's where negligent arson comes into play.
What's the difference between negligent arson and an accident?
Well, you was committing a crime by state statute of the criminal law.
Okay.
Because you was committing a crime and this happens.
Okay, this isn't just you knocked over a candle. You were knocking over a candle while committing a crime. I got you now. I was a little slow on that one. When it comes to the different levels and different punishments would go along with that as well. What do y'all normally see the most when it comes from the tip angle? Is it the tips that come from Crime Stoppers? Is it more just about I saw a fire here at this point, or is it more I saw a person here at this point?
Most of the time when our Crime Stoppers tips comes in, it's very solid information that we've seen this individual doing this at the start of this fire on this date and time, right?
I mean, that kind of makes it a little bit easier to have that much to go on.
It's a big help to have that partnership with the Crime Stoppers to to get that information to us. Yes.
I would imagine so. So, for those that are out there that are normally more inclined to make the call to Crime Stoppers, what should they be on the lookout for when it comes to something like arson?
Well, I mean, anytime you see somebody doing something that you think is suspicious, they're not supposed to be doing, by all means, call 911. Right, that's the start of it. And at times you don't want to get involved, and later on you figure it out. And yeah, that's what I saw that guy doing, but I don't want nobody knowing the guy that called it in. Call Crime Stop.
Well, that was kind of where I was going with that because there could be a gap in time between the wrongdoer and the wrongdoing.
Sure. And at times we get it out quicker in today's time because of the media. We're able to get stuff out social media and through the news. We get it out there and they see it and they say, okay, I'm gonna call Crime Stoppers and try to get a little money out of it.
Absolutely, and then pull a bad guy off the streets in the meanwhile. Since we are still kind of in the winter, at least as far as the overnights are concerned, we got 30 seconds left. Safety tips that you want to share with folks before you get out of here.
Biggest thing, we want to encourage the citizens of this city and this parish, have a working smoke detector in their house. A smoke detector will save your life at all times. If you need one, call your fire department. We'll be more than happy to come out and install one for you if you need one in your house. Call us 354-1400.
354-1400 is the phone number. Of course, 344-STOP is the phone number for Crime Stoppers, and we tell you every week, download the P3 app. It is better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Baton Rouge Fire Chief Mike Kimball, thank you so much for hopping on board. I appreciate it. We got to catch your money now, catch traffic. When we come back, we step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. It's time for the Outside In, coming up next on Talk 107.3. All right. Yes, very good job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
As
Anything we
always.
can do, let us know.
Oh, always. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, next week I'm gonna have hike there.
Okay. I want to talk about this new program with the drug addicts, though, at some point.
I'm gonna be out of town. I'm gonna have hike there.
Okay.
But the next week we can,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be announced Thursday after your show. So the following week, you can maybe have Tanya Miles
Okay.
and then talk together about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's intriguing because the old school radio takeaway would have been just you're giving money to like, but it's you got to turn somebody in, basically. I mean, you got to hand over enough information to make it actionable. So I don't want that. I don't want that overlooked in the conversation. So
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
cool
Thank
deal.
you again, sir.
No,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
I'm fighting a losing battle with the color. I can't. I can't. Luckily, I didn't kill any mics. Oh, I turned off the headset because you don't want. I didn't want the rollback on that. Um, did y'all not hear Mike Kimball on YouTube? Dude, I don't know what's what at this point. I'm not gonna be able to fully unpack this show until the show is over with. Basically, this is a live rehearsal at this point. So I'll go back in later on, make sure everything's right. Hey Jake, how long do I have? Okay, that's enough time to go refill my water glass. I'll be right back. Back. Thank you. $7:56 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Not in studio today, on the road today at the Crowne Plaza for the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry's annual meeting. Got a big day planned over here. Registration is opening as we speak. Starting to see some people trickle in to get signed up or pick up their lanyards and name badges and whatnot. After registration, which I believe technically opens 4 minutes from right now, or 3.5 minutes from right now, going to have a panel discussion coming up at 9:30 with the talking about the future of healthcare and the redistricting session as well. Looking forward to that. And of course, the keynote speaker at lunch today will be Sarah Thomas, the first female NFL official in the Super Bowl. Going to get you to the outside in just a second, but I do have to remind you about the folks over at Hope Ministries helping out with an upcoming event that they've got going on. By the way, we were talking early childhood education and care earlier on. This really rolls into what Hope Ministries does. Not with the Rise LA program, not with the program with Fred Keller that's coming up specifically, but if you look up Rise LA, they take a deep dive into helping out the younger end of Louisiana and how it all ties in. I mean, it all ties in. When we're looking at the workforce crisis that we've got going on right now and have since the beginning of the pandemic, there are so many different factors involved in this. And Rise LA is looking to tackle as much of it as they possibly can. Fred Keller is the founder and chair of Cascade Engineering. He's developed strategies that helped, number one, his lower and middle income employees, getting them off of welfare. But number two, rising profits. Profits went up. These things are not mutually exclusive. Fred can explain it. All you got to do is be in the room. RiseLA.biz, RiseLA.biz if you want to learn how to sign up for what's coming towards the end of March. 355-0702 is the phone number. All right, time for the outside in. Let's roll. We're going to start off in Livingston Parish. After years of inaction, a grand jury has indicted 77-year-old John Mack for sex crimes against juveniles. Mack was formally charged yesterday on three counts of aggravated first-degree rape, 3 counts of sexual battery, and 2 counts of indecent behavior with a juvenile. Keeping it in Livingston Parish, Cynthia Perkins has a hearing set for Monday, Valentine's Day. Going to be looking at whether or not the change of venue is worthwhile. That's coming up Monday for Cynthia Perkins. Over to Ascension Parish, they're looking to reduce, if not eliminate, what they're calling litter on a stick. Picking up campaign signs, yard signs, business signs, anything that is planted in the ground along the side of the road. Ascension Parish Chief Code Enforcement Officer Patrice Johnson says that is a problem. It's impeding the vision and line of sight of traffic, and it's just kind of nasty. That is the outside in. Let's get you to CBS News here on Talk 107.3. That was literally a minute and a half long with the segment. No, that's on me. I was talking too much about Hope Ministries teaming up for the early childhood education piece. And then I realized, hey, I got to do a live read for them anyway. So, makes it easy. All right, I'm going to run outside. So I did touch up the lens with a napkin earlier. I'm going to go get that microfiber real quick. I'll be right back. What I did. Still like some freaking ghost. Too much free space in the back. This thing still smells like smoke.
Yikes. Okay, cool. You saw Barrett Sports Media put out their top whatever, top 20 for mid-market afternoon shows. Moscona got number 20 in mid-market. Yeah, this is earlier in the week, or was it like late last week? Off the bench got number 12 from morning shows. So, I mean, we're just crushing it on both ends of the day. Gotta love that. Yup. Oh, what? Bro, I gotta kill it. Hang on. I'll be back. Give me 1 second. What the hell? What the hell? How do you not call me? A friggin' committee? To investigate the governor? And that. '806 Talk 1073 FM WBRP Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Jake back in studio producing. No, I am not in studio today. I'm on location at the Crowne Plaza for LABI's annual conference, annual meeting. It's going to be a big day here over at the Crowne Plaza today, and I'm looking forward to the third hour of the show as we're going to be talking with Christelle Slaughter. She's the 2022 LABI chair. She is also the CEO of SSA Consultants. Also, Bo Staples going to join us in this hour as well. So we're going to get a little more of an LABI focus this hour, to be sure. Um, we're going to get you to this day in history in just a little bit, but I've got to start off the hour with a story that popped up about midway through last hour. And we're going to have to circle back and get Clay Schexnayder on the show very soon, probably Monday, hoping for Monday. Lawmakers announced today the creation of a committee to review how Louisiana State Police handled a 2019 arrest that ended with Ronald Green's death in police custody. Speaker of the House Clay Schexnayder said the bipartisan group of lawmakers will review all levels of the incident, which includes seeking testimony from various people involved. The formation of the legislative committee comes after new revelations from our news partners over at WBRZ. We had Nakamoto on about this earlier in the week about new revelations that stem from the investigation. We covered this a while ago. The emails, the texts. We read through a bunch of the texts. We talked with Chris about them as well. There's recent reports showing that Second in Command of State Police Doug Kane had a hand in covering up details of Green's death. That Governor John Bell Edwards was made aware of Green's violent encounter with troopers just hours after it happened. Timelines beyond that are still being investigated. So, who's on the committee? Representative Tanner McGee is on the committee. Representative Tony McConnell is on the committee. Representative Jason Hughes, Edmund Jordan, Mandy Landry, C. Denise Marcel, Richard Nelson, and Debbie Villio. This is going to be interesting to watch this play out because you're talking about folks that don't normally agree on policy very often, but are going to have a lot to unpack, to say the least, when it comes to this. All right, this day in history is coming up in 1 minute. Need to remind you about the folks over at Matherns. We are still in the heart of king cake season. I know parading's coming up real soon,
But swing by Mathern's on your way into work this morning, or if you're already at work, swing by Mathern's when you hit up lunch today. Be the office hero. The office hero is the one that brings the king cake, right? And you're not going to go wrong with the ones at Mathern's. They got them stuffed any way you like them, whether you like the strawberry, whether you like the cream cheese. If you have not yet tried the wedding cake, king cake, you have not experienced Shakespeare the way it's meant to be performed. It is ridiculous. Now, we're a traditional king cake house over at the Haldane house. This cake has made me a convert, to be sure. So you bring the king cake back to the office. Everyone huddles around it, looming like vultures over fresh roadkill. Everyone's saying, "Oh no, I can't. Oh no, I can't." And then they do. They always do, and they love you for it. And then they'll find the baby, and it's their turn. Mathern's, downtown on Third Street, Nicholson, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Full service grocery store. Yeah, they're on campus, but they're not just for students. All right, we lead off the third hour by going back in time. Great Scott! Jake, what you got, man? I am. What? I know. I know. Okay. Nice. Um, doing the math, that sounds right. Really? That took till 1920. I would no. First of all, no. And secondly, I wonder who's the pitcher that caused that. I wonder who, because we're talking about the 1920s here, so scuffing a ball might not have even been thought of at first. It'd take a minute before somebody's like, "Hey, if you dig your fingernail in right there, you can get a lot more hook on that curveball." You know what? Yeah, it's crazy, but it's Glenn Miller should be on your list twice today, right? Yeah, absolutely. 2 years to the day, 2 years after In the Mood was released, Chattanooga Choo Choo in 1942 received the first ever gold record for selling 1 million copies and scuffing baseballs. Okay, I like it. That's a good thing. I like Pete Maravich. I mean, it's never a good thing to lose a Tulane, but when it's pissed, like we understood at that time it was gonna, and I say we because I wasn't born for another 7 years. But it was just the all Pistol Pete show. Final score doesn't. You don't worry about that. Just did Pete put on a show? Okay. 91. I'm going to say Philadelphia 76ers forward. Oh, that's terrible. Charles Barkley.
Killing it.
90 million people. Yeah, that's what you call a super spreader event. I'm sorry. What year did you say? 2002. Oh, goodness gracious. So I was dialed out of the NBA a little bit around that time. Oh, 2000. There's no way. It's got to be Kobe. It's got to be Kobe. Somewhere around that. And I don't even. Yeah, that was the middle of like me not watching a whole lot of basketball. But yeah, so far I've been very lucky. No, just the Chattanooga Choo Choo was all I had. Okay. Well, yeah, very nice. So which one is Emma Roberts? She's in what? That's weird because I think my wife would kill me if I knew like on the spot who she was and where she was from. Like, no, I don't pay attention to her, sweetheart. See, you get that out. You get that out like that, as opposed to like, yeah, I know right where she. I could rattle off her whole IMDb by memory. That's where you have the problem. Who else you got other than a few actresses? Hmm. So stupid. Okay. Very cool stuff. Also, Mark Spitz, Olympic gold medalist. Mark Spitz, born on this day in 1950. Greg Norman in 1955 nails his birthday today as well. Lenny Dykstra, former New York Met, part of the '86 Amazing Mets team, and the Philadelphia Phillies, and a darn fine Twitter follow. Lenny Dykstra and I got into a back and forth on Twitter that was just so much fun. Johnston's birthday is today, as is Lance Berkman, former Astros outfielder and first baseman. Who else we got today? I mean, it's a huge day today. Paul Millsap from the Nets, Alex Gordon, who used to be with the Royals. I'm looking. There was a couple more that I'm not remembering right now, and I don't have my. I can't get the program back open, but I want it to be known that on February 10th, you referenced Josh Rosen as one of the greatest quarterbacks out there. That won't be forgotten. That will not be forgotten. Oh my. Okay. Wow. Shirley Temple made it all the way to 2014. Yes. Hmm. And I appreciate that because we're super late already. See. Okay. And it's a beautiful sunny day. We don't need an umbrella for today. I appreciate it, Jake. Taking a quick break. When we come back, let's talk with Christelle Slaughter. She is the 2022 LABI chair, and she's up next on Talk 107.3. Yeah, it's not a whole lot of latency there. That we were able to still do a little back and forth. That's good. So, um, let me say hello to my guest, and then I'll be right back.
This is Brian. I
Hey,
don't know if you know him. This is
yes. Hey, it's been a while. Yes, come on over.
our incoming chair of LABI.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
Okay, what
So,
are we going to talk about?
whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, good.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Good deal. So you've been at this for a little while. You've already interviewed a couple people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got started at 6. So, we'll talk a little bit about today's conference. We'll talk a
Okay.
little bit about redistricting if you want.
Okay.
Upcoming
Mm-hmm.
session.
Mm-hmm.
What your role will be there.
Right.
And yeah, we only have until 8:31, so
Okay.
it'll be over before it starts.
Very good. That's a reassuring comment that you've learned to say to people.
Oh yeah, it goes fast. It's very conversational. It goes very fast. Um,
Before we get started,
Yes.
though, my wife texted me earlier when I said I had you on,
Yeah.
and she said to say that, or she said to make sure you tell her hi because she's a fellow Ursulite alum and a
Get out
fellow
of town.
skipper. So there
I
you
was
go.
a Sue.
You are Sue. Okay. All right.
That's okay. We can overlook that. It's so funny. That is the second thing everybody who ever graduated from Ursuline says.
What?
First one is, where did you go to school? And when somebody says Ursuline, they go, oh, no kidding. Oh my God.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
what were you?
Yeah.
And people are like, what were you?
So SJA does that too.
Oh,
My daughter is a
okay.
freshman. She's a dolphin. It's not Skip Sue and
Yeah.
whatever the third one was, but yeah. I didn't know it either. We were
So what was your wife's name?
Kerrigan, class of '95.
Yeah, she's young. So what's her first name?
Christy.
Christy.
Yes.
So can I say that on the air?
Absolutely.
Great. Good.
Absolutely. We got married in Ursuline's Chapel.
Oh,
Well,
that's such a
you
beautiful
gotta, I
place.
know, but you gotta pick a church in New Orleans, and there's a million beautiful churches. But the fact that only an alumni can get married in there, I was like,
really
Christy, there's
special.
no way you can't. That's special.
Oh, it's so
That's a
special.
small club.
Basilica,
Right.
for Christ's sakes. I mean, it's just, you just spend a lot of your life in that place. So,
Exactly.
Exactly.
So,
I haven't been back in a long time. Some of my classmates, they had a Christmas carol concert, and they were trying to get together and go. It was still COVID-y.
yeah.
It's kind of late. And sure enough, I get a text. One of our friends. I'm just getting off the plane, and we were in such and such a place. And I'm thinking, you're a walking COVID person. I'll probably end up sitting next to you. I'm
Right.
not gonna go. So I didn't go. We'll do it again. Hey, buddy, how are you? You're early.
How are we doing on time, Jake? Okay.
Kind of, sort of. Registration, dude. Yeah. Some.
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
I'm, I'm good. I'm finally getting going with Aaron. Finally. I've been looking, buddy. I promise. He is a fabulous guy. It's his son-in-law. His son-in-law
It's who?
is Aaron Stratman.
Okay. Copy that.
You can tell he's a local. You can tell.
821 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 rolling right along. I'm pumped for this next 10 minutes. We've got Christelle Slaughter seated next to me right now. She is not just the CEO of SSA Consultants, she is also the 2022 chair for the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Christelle, welcome aboard. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great this morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Glad to have you on board this morning. So, 2022 chair. I mean, you ready for this?
I am definitely ready. I think this is great. We're coming out of this wave of the pandemic. Everybody's excited about being here. This is the largest crowd at the annual meeting we've ever had.
Yes.
So we're very excited about it, but we're really looking forward to this year. There are a lot of important things going on that I think LABI needs to be front and center and helping lead the band.
Well, you know what? I was going to start with today and then work my way towards that, but since you brought it up, let's reverse course here.
Good.
What sort of things are y'all looking for that LABI needs to be a leader on?
Well, I think the redistricting session is obviously in play right now, and LABI is monitoring that. We had a briefing on it yesterday, and things seem to be coming along. Although I do think there's some nuances that are going to be important to the business community. We're lucky as a state. We
Yes.
didn't grow as fast as some of the other states over the past 10 years, but we did grow, and some areas of our state are growing rather rapidly. So
Yes.
I think that's something for us to monitor long term.
From LABI's perspective, though, this is going to sound weird, isn't redistricting like the caboose, though? Because the business attracts the population is followed by the census is followed by the redistricting. So y'all did your work on the front end, right?
Yes, that's very true. And the fact that we have such a wonderful business community, business and industry, they continue to invest in their capital expenditures here in the
Yes.
state, as well as bringing new jobs. And so you're right, that's sort of the catalyst, and then everything follows from there.
So does the mission become? You see where there's population dips. Does the mission become find new jobs there to bring them back up, or continue to let success breed success where success is happening?
Well, personally, I think that we need to look at ways to make sure that the entire state is growing. And, we have some urban areas and rural areas, but I think it's really from the central part of the state north that we need to look for what are the pockets of success. How do we get a workforce that will be available? That's the best way to attract and keep businesses and industry is to have. We already have our natural resources. Can
Yes,
we
we
get
do.
the trained workforce? We have wonderful programs for that with LABI, and we've won national awards. But I think we've got to maybe step that up a bit.
From moving from the redistricting session to the regular session, what are a few of the top priorities when it comes to addressing those concerns?
Well, I think, we're always looking for opportunities to improve the business climate. I was talking with one of our former chairs yesterday, and his business has come back. He's in industrial construction, and unfortunately, the person who was also talking with us said, "Well, where is the business?" And he said, 80% outside of Louisiana and 20% inside Louisiana, and a lot in Texas. So we're very close to a place that has made themselves more and more attractive. So I think looking for any opportunity, whether it's helping to clarify ITAP, the industrial tax exemption, whether it's to make our tax structure, um, more comparable to other states, and really encourage people to reinvest. We want the people we have to continue to be successful and grow, and then also look for other people to come in. So I think anything that has to do with uh, business expenses, whether it is a true tax or anything like insurance. I mean, we have serious insurance issues. I understand we're losing a few carriers, and we need to make sure that whether it's an individual consumer or whether it's a business, that they have everything that they need. Certainly, we're a state that's used to having disasters
Yes.
and being prepared for that, and if a little too much is right, one after the other. So I think, to look for how do we deploy resources. We're getting lots of resources from the federal government, whether it's in affordable housing or stormwater and drainage, floodplain management. But we got to get those dollars out. We've got to get our infrastructure right, and we have to help people live safely.
Infrastructure is a good one because that covers so much ground, and we've learned from the recent Congress that it can cover whatever you want it to.
Yes, it can.
But I think broadband internet is a big part of that.
Yes.
That's going to play in a lot to y'all's future plans as well.
It really will. And I think that we've learned through the pandemic that it's essential that we have that across the state, whether it's for education reasons or whether it's business. We've got to have that. And there are a lot of dollars that can be redeployed through infrastructure or, education. And I think we need to bring those together to make sure that we really have a big push on that, because that's the new infrastructure, right, Brian? It's not our roads and bridges. We need that too. We
100%.
really need that.
Remote work,
But remote work
purchase, yeah.
and online communication.
What's your role as the chair? What's your role in facilitating this? Is it inside the team? Is it outside? Is it lobbying? Is it how do you formulate your personal mission here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a little bit of everything depending upon the circumstances. So, we have a wonderful staff. They're very, very smart. They're very talented. I'm continually amazed at their ability to analyze, whether it's the political side of things or, the economic side of things. They're good at bringing in experts and consultants to help shape policy. So I don't need to do what they do better than what I would do. But I do think every once in a while you need a spokesperson. Every once in a while you need somebody who really carries banner. Um, up here at a committee meeting with the legislature to present along with staff what our opportunities are for improvement. So, I really think that it's somewhat of a leadership role in terms of being maybe the face of the state business community for a while. But it's a pretty easy lift. It's not hard. It's not hard.
All right. So we've got a pretty full docket for today. Going to be talking the future of healthcare in a panel discussion. Going to be talking about the redistricting session and panel discussion. Then the membership meeting, and then Sarah Thomas. What are you most looking forward to in getting out of today?
Sarah Thomas.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. No, I think that the panel discussion, I actually had clients who wanted to come today just for the panel discussion. To have, Warner Thomas, prominent CEO, Offshore Healthcare, and our CEO, Blue Cross, come together and talk about the future of healthcare for a lot of businesses. That's their number one expense. That is a retention tool unlike it has ever been before. People realize they've got to have good healthcare insurance for themselves and their families. And so I think that that's going to be very enlightening and very interesting. And I'm looking forward to hearing what they're going to say. But I am looking forward to Sarah Thomas. I have to tell you, I just think it's terrific. We had to cancel a couple of our annual meetings, and we sort of had her in the wings. And so it's great to have somebody like that, first female referee in the NFL.
I mean, you think about it, we're just 3 days away from the next Super Bowl, and she reffed the last one. So, I mean, all things considered, if you had her booked before the last Super Bowl, you didn't have Super Bowl ref. You just had first female to get this done. So
I think we were brilliant that we made the Super Bowl come right after our annual meeting. I mean, it just doesn't get any better.
Absolutely. So, are we going to let Sarah know at lunch today you don't throw any flags on any LSU Tigers? Like offensive pass interference by Odell or Jamar is just not a thing.
You just didn't see it.
Andrew Whitworth does not hold.
No, you just didn't see it.
I mean, so long as she knows.
And our board Joe, gotta protect her.
Exactly. Christelle Slaughter, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. Can I get a shout out to your wife, Christy?
Oh, you absolutely can get a shout out to my wife,
So
Christy.
we are joint alums of Ursuline Academy
Yes,
in New Orleans, of which builds very strong and independent women. Sorry for you and sorry for my husband.
Oh, no apologies needed there. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm big supporter of where Christy came from. She's the Ursuline has been absolutely wonderful. So it's absolutely appreciate you hopping on board today.
Absolutely, thank you so much for having me.
Always, we got to get you the news. When we come back, we're talking redistricting with Bo Staples next. So.
Oh Lord, redistricting with Bo Staples, and I even said the word. That was crazy. He gave a presentation yesterday. That was just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I had him on just before the session started. I had him on the hotline. For, Steven does a weekly hit with me on my show. So it was the week before the session, and can Steven sit out a week and Bo come in? I'm like, yeah. No reason to burn Steven out. This is topical. And Bo is awesome. So
yeah, he is. So you have a daughter right now?
I have a freshman at SJA. Now, just before the pandemic, Christy got the alumni email about how there was an open house. She's like, Carrie, do you want to go down to an open house and just see? And I'm like, oh, we have to live up here. I obviously can't say that on mic.
No, that's right.
Because, I mean, I'm with St. Paul's. Yes. So, I love it. And, anybody who's my age or older, I always have to clarify. St. Paul's after it was no, I'm not discipline case St. Paul's. I'm just St. Paul's. So, there was a stretch there where if you got thrown out of Jesuit, you went to Brother Martin. You got thrown out of Brother Martin, you went to De La Salle. Then you went to St. Paul's. Yeah, no, we're not Stanislaus. So.
Lived here for a while to get all
exactly.
that, you get it.
So,
you get it.
No, I went to.
Good morning.
I went to St. Paul's and she went to Arson. We met up here at LSU. Yeah, we both absolutely love our schools.
And so you both decided to stay here. Yep. I never really intended to stay, but I met Bill and he got us at the end of that.
We had intended to move back home every single year. We'd revisit it all the time. It's like, are we going back? And no, I got a job, you got a job. I got a job, you got a job. Now we get kids, and that's,
Yeah. Things picked up. Restaurants picked up. Shopping. I had friends from New Orleans who wanted to come shop up here.
Right. So I worked in hotels before working in radio. And that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to move back home. New Orleans was, you're not going to get, yes. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about top 10 worldwide, top 3 in the country,
New York, Miami, and New
New
Orleans.
Orleans, right?
So, but it's like Baton Rouge. It's not a destination market. We were never going to be anywhere. But I'd always wanted to go into broadcasting, and my wife just kicked me in the ass in the middle of 2003 and said, "Yeah," and she's like, "You either." Oh crap! This is my producer. Hello. Oh my goodness. Can you put her on the phone? Hey, Vanessa, I am so sorry. I compl- oh my goodness, I'm on location. Oh, but you can't. Oh no, I am so sorry. I did not even think about today when I was booking today. Okay, yeah, I'm over at the Crowne Plaza all day, so jeez, I sincerely apologize. Can I text you after the show and we'll set up for next week? Okay, thank you so much for understanding. This is I hate when I do this. All right, thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate it. Right.
You double book.
Ooh, yeah,
I do that.
yeah.
Not
That's
not all the time.
it's not often. Do what?
Yeah, yeah.
From our end, yes. Yeah. One of the candidates running for Ted James's seat.
I was wondering if that was before.
Yes,
Yeah, yep, yep. Good person.
she is. I'm a lifelong Republican. Ted is one of two Democrats I've voted for in my life.
Right.
Like I love him to pieces. He's
And
so good.
he's endorsed her.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
that says a
I
lot.
called him. I'm like, who are you backing? Because that's what I'll have on first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's her. Okay.
But
That's
yeah, Christy's like, we're gonna have kids soon, so it's time to shit our pants. And I'm like, wow, you don't normally talk like that.
That's very pointed there.
Exactly. So I was like, all right. So went back to school, got a job over at WJBO, and
No
I
kidding.
started in radio in October of 2004. So I wasn't even a full year when Katrina hit. And after that, it was like, I'm doing radio for the rest of my life. That was, I mean, talking like
Cool.
WWL moved into our building. I mean,
Wow.
like,
Oh, that gives me
because
chills.
I mean, everything they had down there, like all the radio
Yeah,
stations,
it moved,
right.
moved into the attic.
So, like, I mean, I'm not even a full year in, and I'm doing shows with. It's weird now because he's been convicted of murder and he's dead. But Vince Marinello, I'm listening to you, and like, I'm like taking phone. I was producing like board hopping and whatnot, taking phone calls for people who were like during the storm, physically in their attics,
Right.
and like
What?
this was 2004 or 2005, right?
Right.
So throughout everybody I've interviewed on radio, like if you ask me like, what's the quintessential moment, what I remember most, talking to Al Scramuza from Seafood City, who was in his own attic. And he's like, I've been trying and I can't get a cell signal. And finally, I got somebody, and I'm like, and I got state police sitting right there. I know.
Oh my God.
I know. I'll like the rest of my life, I'll carry that with me.
Right.
And
Right.
then met up with him a couple of years later at a crawfish boil,
Oh,
like a crawfish cook-off.
yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm like, you're not gonna remember this. He's like, the hell I don't remember that.
I was
That's
the one in the attic.
right,
I remember it.
right. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Okay.
So.
Go do good stuff. Here's Bo. He's got
Whoop.
his
Yep.
maps.
All right, back in here, 837 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. What am I yapping about? Well, on location today at the Crowne Plaza for the LABI annual meeting. In fact, it's time to welcome in our next guest already because there's a redistricting session going on right now and a whole lot more to cover. So let's keep it from the lobby front and welcome in Bo Staples. What's happening, man? How you been?
Good, good. Just
Whoop. Sorry, I killed that on the brakes. Listen, here we go.
good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. Excuse me.
Okay.
We're just tracking a bunch of bills, trying to figure out what's going to move, what's not going to move. How many majority minority seats we're going to get on which maps, and
I'd be an idiot to start anywhere else. How many majority minority seats are going to get on which map? Let's start with Congress because I don't think it's going to happen.
yeah, I think we're going to stick with one. The only congressional map that has been advanced out of the chamber so far is Senator Hewitt's bill. I think it's SB 5.
Mhm.
It's the congressional map. And what they did there was they took the existing districts. They did kind of small tweaks, nip here, tuck there.
Yeah.
No wholesale redesigns, and they kept the two North Louisiana based districts, and it looks like they're going to have one majority minority seat, which will maintain the status quo.
The biggest issue that I've seen with this so far is that the geography and distribution of population just gets in the way. There has been no easy answer to this, unless you wanted to say, all of a sudden we now have at-large congresspersons.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to be based off of 33% of the population, well, you're not at large, so it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something like a ranked choice vote, or I think in other countries depending on your percentage of the vote, that's how many seats you get and things like that. That's not how our republic democracy works. So yeah, I mean, we saw this in the '90s. Cleo Fields held two different districts. They, in some form or fashion, connected Shreveport's minority population with Monroe's, came down the Delta. Some of them went and grabbed St. Landry's minority population with North Lafayette's, came on over to North Baton Rouge. Whether you touch every part of Arkansas, every part of Mississippi to get that Z district, which was tossed out because it was not compact, it sprawled all over the state. And then he had an additional one that connected Shreveport to Baton Rouge, kind of everything in between. And that one was tossed out. This nip tuck of the existing districts, this is a map. Yes, we've had some population change, but they had one majority minority seat when the black population, I believe, was 29 or 30%. And this is a map concept where you have a Northwest Armed Services centric district with both Barksdale and Fort Polk. Then you have Congressional District 5, which is agricultural based. This is a map that was approved by the Obama administration's Department of Justice when we still had Section 5 pre-clearance in 2011.
Right.
This structure, this map concept. And I'm not a redistricting attorney. I don't pretend to know the Voting Rights Act forward and backwards, but we've seen a very similar map already approved and held up to litigation 10 years ago.
So, and the Voting Rights Act is kind of the turning point in all this. So, because you can say, what's different between now and when this was approved by the Obama administration? And the answer is the Voting Rights Act. So, the follow-up question is, how does that make a difference?
Yeah. So, the Voting
Were we
Rights
all
Act.
disenfranchised before that?
Yeah. Well, that is one side's argument for sure. Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act was overturned by the Supreme Court a few years ago. In Section 5 was the mandated pre-clearance of these by the Department of Justice before they could ever move forward for certain states that had historically disenfranchised minority voters. That was thrown out, so we no longer have this pre-clearance process. Much of the law was still left intact, specifically Section 2, which has these jingles, preconditions, which speak to diluting minority vote to defeat, to cancel the opportunity for them to elect someone of their choice. So it's still in place to be challenged. It's just that we don't have this pre-clearance standard, which really, once you get a map that the chambers are good with and it meets pre-clearance in the past, we don't have it anymore. Then that's kind of full steam ahead. That's the map. They're not going to go back to the drawing board and do back and forth iterations with DOJ. But that's an assurance that we no longer have.
Right. So let's get away from the congressional districts because that's looking like it's going to play out the way it's going to play out. So let's move down to within the state. Are we going to see any new majority minority districts on the Senate or House level or representative level in state?
As of right now, neither chamber has. Historically, the Senate handles the Senate map. The House does not touch it. The House handles the House map. The Senate does not touch it. Right now, both the Senate has not passed their map out of the Senate yet. I believe they're looking to take that up tomorrow. And the House has not passed theirs. They're probably also looking at a Friday passage there. The Senate currently has 11 majority-minority districts. In the current map design, it will keep all 11. It will not gain or lose any majority-minority districts. They're going to take a Republican-held district in Shreveport to account for the population loss and move it down to more of a Hammond base. Tangipahoa is going to make up probably 80% of that district, and Livingston and St. Tammany will make up the other 20%. In the House, you currently have 29 majority districts, and you're going to see the status quo is the bill that has advanced to the floor holds the status quo. There's 29 seats. They are to account for the population loss in North Louisiana, Northwest Louisiana specifically. They have decided to take a term limited majority minority seat. It's the of all the term limited districts in North and Central Louisiana, this one had the fewest number of people, and they are taking this and they are moving it to Orleans Parish.
This is the one on the Nugget, right?
Yes, it's House District 23, represented by Kenny Cox, who is currently term limited, and they're moving that into Orleans, where it will continue to be a majority minority seat. I believe one of the majority minority seats in New Orleans is going from like 51% black population to maybe 42, 43, and that is Sandy Landry's district. So
Yeah.
it will certainly stay blue.
Right, right. But it was somebody brought this up. I don't remember. It was earlier in the week or something. But the population increase that New Orleans saw was predominantly white. So creating more majority minority districts in an area that did not grow majority minority.
Yes, and so the where you really see that fight is in the Senate map.
Yeah.
There are 4 majority minority Senate districts based in Orleans. One of them is having to move in its current version. One of the districts is going to be more Jefferson population than Orleans, so it will be a Jefferson-based minority district. But they had to go into Jefferson to pick up minority population to maintain a majority minority district because Orleans has seen the Orleans region as a whole has increased 6 or 7% over the 10 years, and the state as a whole is like 2.73. So it's seen twice as much boom, but it's been white voters, not black voters, who have moved there.
So yeah, it's just you tell me you were creating a majority minority district in Livingston, Jefferson Parish, and then a majority minority Senate district that spans from St. Tammany of all places to Livingston. I'm waiting for the punchline.
Yeah, I mean it's the overriding theme is that they have taken term limited seats from North Louisiana, moved them to South Louisiana, and they have maintained the status quo on a majority minority basis. It does look like they've changed the House seat. Roy Darrell Adams, I believe it's 62, House District 62. And then that is right now it's a West Feliciana, East Feliciana district. It's with a little bit of EBR. It's going to become the East Feliciana and St. Helena, I think, base district, and so that is going to go. Roy Adams is an independent, and that seat is going to go majority minority. So it will most likely go blue. You might see Roy Adams switch to the Democrat Party to maybe assure himself that he'll hold on to that seat. He's not too happy that you're splitting the Felicianas, but that's the way that the current lines are drawn. And so you could see Democrats pick up a seat from an independently held seat.
Interestingly enough, though, it won't be like an urban center or a city center seat that they're picking up. It'll be more rural, which means the needs of the district do not necessarily align with the perspective that race comes first.
That's right, and really, the legislature they cannot go into a map drawing process and draw a map based on race. They're not allowed to do that.
Right.
Certainly, you can have outside groups, whether it's ACLU or NAACP, Legal Defense, they can sit there and craft these maps based specifically on race. The legislature can't do that. They try to take existing districts and keep the lines as close as possible because those members know their district the best, and they know the needs of that district, and it's really just the overall overarching theme is status quo.
Okay. Well, and it's a question repeatedly going in. I might have even asked it of you as we're approaching the session. Was how much is job preservation going to come into this thing? And if we're seeing that the only people that are really getting shook up are the people that get term limited out, the answer is yeah, we saw it for sure.
Well, and I do think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It is leadership has to submit these maps.
Right.
They've both Chairman John Stefanski of HGA and Chairman Sharon Hewitt of SGA working with the Speaker and the President. They've put forth their plan, and it really speaks to certainly they're confined by population, but it speaks to who has supported them in their mission and their policy agenda and who hasn't.
And when it comes time to when someone has to bite the bullet, it's going to be the people who kind of left them out in the cold that get they you know they get left out in the cold.
Are we going to see on the other maps that are going to be out there, the judicial, the PSC, the Bessie stuff, any major fights there, or anybody claiming major victories when we see change there?
There's not there's the House. The only Bessie and PSC maps that have moved out of the chamber are out of the House. I think Polly Thomas is holding the Bessie map. Stefanski is the author of the PSC map. Those have passed off the House floor. It looks like those are going to be the instruments for those two institutions. Those again, they're kind of they took the existing districts and nipped and tucked and there's not much change. You're not going to see any of the seats really change parties. Um, you might, you certainly could see there's one of those Bessie seats is a swing district, which could in Northwest Louisiana could certainly change hands between party, but no newly created majority minority districts. On the Supreme Court, they're they are not mandated to pass a map by December 31st like they are on all the other maps.
Okay.
And so you could see them punt. There is a map that Senator Hewitt has put forth that maintains an incumbent in each of the new districts. Um, we had some really big population variances because these maps haven't been drawn since a court decree in 1997 based on 1990 census numbers. So the disparities of population wide ranging. So the maps, the Supreme Court map will certainly look new, but it does, the map as I see it, does maintain all the incumbents may stay in their own district.
Got both staples here, and there's some housekeeping that's normally behind the scenes, but since I'm on location, Jake, we're going to 52. Because I got one more question for you. It's actually kind of a two-part question, depending on how you break it down. We're going to see legal maps. The governor has a full plate with a number of other things right now. Is the governor going to bother vetoing anything, or just let the courts handle it? Because no matter how he comes down, it's going to end up in court anyway. It would be a waste of his time to put pen to paper now, knowing number one, he's going to have to defend that in a legislative session, or he's going to have an agenda later, and number two, all the peripheral is going on.
Yeah, so the governor, these maps will most likely wind up in court, like you said. So something that would expedite the lawsuit would be him signing the maps. Because if he vetoes a map and the legislature is not able to override, there's nothing that says it goes automatically to the state Supreme Court or the federal court to draw these maps. The legislature can call a concurrent redistricting session with the regular session. And they can continue to send him maps throughout that regular session. They can call a special session in June after regular session, continue to send him maps. They have until December 31st to send him legislative maps. So if he would like to expedite the court process, he's best off signing them.
I love it. That's a brilliant. If you don't like it, agree to it. That's a brilliant strategy.
But that might hurt you when you get to court that the legislature has passed and the governor has signed. There's some tap medicine and there's some game theory that has to go on there.
The beauty of the chaos of politics. He's Bo Staples. I appreciate you stopping by, man. Gonna have a fun day today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Quick break. Coming back. Closing it out next. All right.
Awesome. Thank
Very
you,
good
sir.
stuff.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
I know, and it hasn't been as contentious as I thought it would be, but I've been so dialed in on this stuff.
He just keeps coming, and he had to turn it all over, so certainly he knows what he gave them, but it's all a matter of when they find what they find. When you saw like the coordination with the federal prosecutor before he talked to Katrina Jackson, and Katrina came out and said that's over another police brutality issue. That's not the Ronald Green. I was asking the federal prosecutor, and they need to be on the same page, but it wasn't even Ronald Green. It was this other one. I don't know, but she came out yesterday and said that was a different police brutality case that I wanted to talk to. Yes. More Staples. That was a year after Ronald Green, and you're supposed to be cleaning that up.
The part that nobody's talking about is the fact that I don't think he did anything duplicitous. I think he comes from a law enforcement family and is going to give them the benefit of the doubt because that's how he was raised.
I agree. And I tell people all the time, he is a very nice person. He's got a little bit of ego, like any politician, especially anyone that's going to put themselves up as governor.
Right.
But I think his worldview is shaped by grandpa was a sheriff, his daddy was a sheriff, his brother's a sheriff. His mom was a nurse, or his wife's a, his mom's a, his wife's a teacher. His mom's a, they're all public employees. They're all government employees, and that's who provided the jobs for the family. And that's his worldview. And I think, listen, I don't think he ordered the cover up.
No, me neither.
I don't think he was forthcoming with what he knew when he knew it. He just said, "I'm going to stay out of it. I'm going to stay quiet, and at least get through this election." We have no proof that that's the approach he took. He says, "I didn't put a text message together with the court case." He's a very smart man. I don't know if he's telling the truth when it comes to that.
So, the fact that he's so Pollyanna in front of the microphone, I wouldn't even know how. I don't even know how to spell cover up. Like, I don't even. Bro, chill. You got what? You're not just from law enforcement. You're from AV. That's the mafia's retirement community. Like,
it absolutely is. There's go look at how many Italian last names you have.
No. I know it's. I'm gonna have to hop back in a second, so I need to get microphones back up. But yeah, you want a good time? Go to the Independence Italian American Festival. That's a good time.
You go and look at like the Easters, city council members. They all in a vowel.
Yeah,
Jefferson
no. If you had a jukebox that came from Genco Amusement Company, and don't tell me that wasn't named after the Godfather.
Exactly.
So,
all good. Well, enjoyed it, man.
Always, brother. Appreciate it, man. All right, starting to fill up over here. Voice. Yeah, it's getting cool. One segment to go. Talk about old Gary Chambers. I cannot believe I double booked Vanessa. I'm going to apologize to her on the air as well. No, I know, and she sounds like an absolute sweetheart, and she's spoken of very highly. Everyone speaks of her very highly, and I feel it. The better the person is, the worse I feel about it happening. If that makes sense. So, I'm going to have my computer on a couple different windows, so please make sure. Just give me a 30-second before it's out, okay?
That's the kind of stuff that we need. Okay. And so tell me about what it is that you do. So let me do this.
856 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane before we fully dive into the LABI annual meeting, up to and including that lunch with Sarah Thomas, the first female official for an NFL Super Bowl. Her whistle, her flag, her hat. They're all in camp. They're all in the NFL Hall of Fame. Super duper looking forward to this. And of course, LABI's annual meeting, presented by Cajun Industries and a stack of other sponsors as well. So, before we get out of here, a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, my absolute total apologies to Vanessa LaFleur. Vanessa LaFleur is running for 10 seat. She's running for the House District 101 seat. I booked Vanessa to come on the show today, and I was not thinking about attending this conference at the time. It just completely slipped my mind. As a father of three in the afternoon circus, I brain farted. Happens from time to time, but I appreciate Vanessa. We're going to reschedule for early next week, and in that race as well. And we want to hop on the show because Vanessa does have two competitors in that race. We're looking to talk to just about everybody we can get a hold of in the March elections before those March elections get here. But I do apologize to Vanessa. I know there's no reason for me to bring that off-air conversation on there, but I feel terrible about asking someone to come in and then be like, oh, hey, I'm not there. All right, before we get out of here, I've got one more story to cover. And I kind of wanted to do this in the studio where we could get the full effect of having it on YouTube as well. But since I am on location and I don't know if we're going to have time tomorrow. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's show is already set. Get ready for this lineup tomorrow. Haggai Davis in for a couple of times, right? 6:30 till 7. 7:15 State Treasurer John Schroeder. We're going to talk about LACashClaim.org and what else his office is up to. After John Schroeder, we're going to have Aaron Baham from Celtic Media. Aaron is going to be in to talk about the new National Treasury.
series coming to Disney Plus. No, Nicolas Cage is not involved in this one, but this is what you call the honeypot when it comes to booking movie business, TV business. Every actor I've had on the show, up to the most recent one that was really touting this, Eric Roberts was talking about this not long ago. You want that long running series. You want a 6 or 7 season series. It's steady work. It's good work, and they're all about it. So we're gonna have Aaron Bayham talking about National Treasure tomorrow morning. In the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow, we are going to have the Odd Father, Jimmy Ott. This will be the first Super Bowl with mobile sports betting. So we're going to talk about that at 8:15, and then Rocco's going to close us out. We've got kind of introducing a new segment, and Rocco and I are going to have some fun chopping up some New Orleans stories, as it were. New Orleans Breakers to be on that list for sure. All right, not enough time for me to dive into it, but have you seen the new Gary Chambers ad yet? This time he burns the Confederate flag. Chambers, of course, running for Senate. He says, "We must burn what remains of the Confederacy down." A voice, Chambers says in a voiceover as he condemns the system that's producing measurable inequity. Got to call out to Gary to get him on the show. Hopefully we'll make that happen very soon. We're out of here. Fox News Rundown's next. Hopefully I hit that on time, Joe. Awesome. Awesome. All right, we're all good. I owe Complete Collision a spot. I got way too into that redistricting conversation. So I'll hit Complete Collision twice tomorrow. No pun intended, just to make sure they're covered. Meanwhile, great job today. We're probably going to unpack a little bit of it once I have a chance to review the show. But as far as I can tell, this was a smooth first effort. So thank you. All right, man. I'll see you later. Bye. All right, YouTube. That is going to conclude our festivities for the day. The room is hopping. There's a lot going on right now. I appreciate y'all hanging in. I appreciate the ghostly effect that I have. Listen, I'm sure this all right? Coming a little clearer like that. So we're gonna work out the kinks because we're taking the show back out on the road less than a month from now, or right at a month from now. We'll be at the Pelican Institute's annual conference. That's coming up in March, and I want to make this a regular thing. So if you've got something coming up that you'd like us to be a part of that involves this time frame, I don't want to sit in an empty room for 4 hours before anybody shows up. But if you've got something coming up that involves this time frame, hit me up. We can do this. We can make this show travel for sure. So that's going to do it for us. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Thank you so much for playing along, and we will see you then.